1,200 miles from New York City and 1,200 miles from Los Angeles, hidden behind a storefront in Wichita, Kansas, is this space. It looks like a cross between a mad scientist lair and a junk shop. But it's in fact the studio of an artist named Randy Regier. Randy was not always an artist. He used to work in a body shop like his dad did before him. But a few years ago, struggling with health issues brought on by the fumes and the materials of his workplace, Randy's wife told him he needed to change jobs. She told him, go back to school, get a degree, find a new career. Randy told her the thing that he cared most about was making things. So of course he studied art. Randy's sculpture resembles the futurist toys of many of our childhoods, from a time when the future meant progress and space exploration, rapid advancements in science and technology, and a Rosie the robot maid for every household. It was really a future we all believed in. Randy's New Penny's Last Stand, shown here, recreates a small toy shop that entices you into an engagement with that future, but frustratingly locks the door, does not let you in. I think it's an apt metaphor for that suspension of desire, that frustration of things not to be, like robot housekeepers. 700 miles away, in a bland mid-century office building in Bloomington, Indiana, the lights go down, the shades are drawn, and dazzling images begin to flicker across the screen as Professor Arthur Liao shares his work with me. Arthur came to the US from his native Taiwan to study and to make art. His work used to consist of these high-tech videos that stitch together beautiful, provocative images in humorous and sometimes pointed ways. But when his young daughter Vivian, age 4, succumbed to leukemia and died, Arthur's work became much more personal, more spiritual. This is his masterwork, Cora. It's a dazzling ultra high-def video that traces a 34-mile pilgrimage up Mount Kailash, a promontory sacred in 4 world religions. As I stand in Arthur's Plain, Indiana office, I journey with him on a profoundly moving spiritual quest to find beauty, consolation, and fulfillment. Watch for just a minute. Now, I feel compelled to ask, how many of you have heard of these two artists? Anybody? I can't see all of you. The fact is, neither had I, and I've worked in the arts for more than 30 years. The truth is, there are probably thousands, maybe tens of thousands of such artists working across this country, whose works we'll likely never see, never know. Yet these unsung artists have a great deal to share with us, powerful, important stories. But they're working hundreds, thousands of miles from anywhere, right? So why should we pay attention? Well, throughout history, artists have been known as the canaries in the coal mines, speaking out about issues before they enter the public discourse or policy. If we take the time to look and to listen, we have a great deal to learn from their stories, because art has always reflected the time and place in which it's made. Think about it. It's how we know anything about cultures long past, distant from our own. Think about this, too. All art was contemporary art when it was made. All art was once contemporary, right? But in our world, contemporary art has come to seem rarefied, somehow out of touch with the realities of our time. The truth is, in this age of instant communication and information, we're still extremely limited in the art that we have access to. So we at Crystal Bridges had this goal of expanding access to these far-flung voices. That's why we went on the road. We went in search of the most compelling artists working in America today. Not the artists who are appearing in the headlines or on the cover of magazines, but who have something meaningful to share with us. We searched. We went across the country for the better part of a year, visiting more than 900 artists in their studios. And we found it. And also, what we found is that while local communities may be aware of their artists, these voices are not necessarily, at least broadly, being heard. Take Vincent Valdes, for example, young artist working in San Antonio, Texas, in a repurposed fire station. As a young man, Vincent was mentored by a whole community of artists. He's now an exquisitely skilled painter who confronts the challenges of being a young man of color in this country. In this series, he calls The Strangest Fruit. He presents images of young men floating against a white background. Their bodies sometimes in balletic positions, quite beautiful. They might even be levitating, but no. Vincent discovered a dark chapter in his own state of Texas history, that historically, as many Mexican Americans were lynched as African Americans. And yet this tragic aspect of our history has gone long hidden, made invisible. The images of men, the men in his paintings, are contemporaries of his. But this hidden history looms large, much like an invisible noose around their necks. And this is Vanessa German, whose Homewood neighborhood in Pittsburgh is one of the most troubled in our nation. It once held the dubious distinction of having more child murders than anywhere in the country. Vanessa makes sculpture that she imbues with the power to protect children, a kind of magic that's been claimed for art in many cultures throughout history. But Vanessa has made that magic real by creating an art house, a safe place where kids can come, make art, stay off the streets, where together they create beauty in a place of violence, expand their horizons, see beyond their current circumstance. Vanessa's work is a document of its time and place, but it's also a very real part of its future, ensuring that today's at-risk kids have access to inspiration and hope and beauty where there might be none. So this is the state of art in America today, where artists contribute their voices, their ideas, their caring, and their magic to all of us. And these are the 102 artists that we will proudly present in our state-of-the-art exhibition opening in September 2014. They are the face and the voices of contemporary America. Now, it took a great deal, really a tremendous amount of time and effort and resource to seek and find each of these artists. I assure you it's not the way the art world usually works. But it's our hope that this project, this exhibition, will be a kind of call to action to all of us to pay more attention to the artists that live and work among us. We can all learn a great deal from their inspiration, from their insights, from these important and compelling stories, because after all, they're our story. Now becomes our job to seek it out, take it in, and to listen. Thank you.
Huh.